and the NBA slate. I do want to remind you guys, if you want to, get a package with us, use the promo code BobbyFi NBA for 25% off the first month. Sorry, I'm a little slow on Mondays. Sheets, how you doing, man? How was the rest of your weekend? And what do you think of the slate?
Can I get a promo code too?
Sure. I just ask Evan for one.
Yeah, you gotta have someone show me how to set that up. I gotta do a sheet.
You gotta wait for like the LOL season to come along or some giant.
Some real sports, exactly.
Yeah, the real stuff.
Crap with the NBA and the World Series and the NFL going at the same time. We need like an isolated LOL NASCAR truck series day to really get my wheelhouse. But I guess we got to win these NBA 100,000s and NFL millions, I suppose, until the real sports come back.
Yeah, until the real sports come back. Right. All right. Well, let's get into it. We got a big slate. We'll pull up your screen. We'll go game by game here, figure out what we want to do. I'm still just looking. I mean, I've looked through things a little bit today. I just think it's interesting because I don't think you've got more spend depth than we've had, but no real screaming obvious value, I guess I would say, yet. And that's obviously yet is the biggest part of that. By the time we finish this video, we might actually have some.
That's what I actually noticed first go around too. I just did the projections for all the sports and for everybody that whatever. But they're all up there: NBA, NHL, NFL Showdown, and I think I might have put an MLB one up there also. And when I took a quick look at the NBA projections and two things you mentioned. One, there's not really a lot of obvious value, and that's very, very true. But the biggest word that you used was now, because for those of you that haven't really played NBA all that much, all kinds of stuff breaks. Usually the way it works is as Bobby's hitting upload on the video, that's when usually the top play on the slate gets ruled out.
Right.
We try to mess with it. We've tried to wait like 10 minutes, but the NBA gods are too smart. Then they'll just wait 11 minutes before they release it. So
right.
But we'll put an update up there, closer to 6 or so. But the most important thing is to try to be there for our 6 o'clock live show, because that's when we have most of the projections up and we're really kind of honing in on what we're going to do. This is obviously really important to give us an idea of what the slate could look like. But like he mentioned, like right now I'm showing no player with a point per dollar projection of over 6x. And I promise you, there's just going to be somebody. I just don't know who it is.
Especially with Giannis doubtful, and we'll see what happens. Some places are projecting him, some places aren't. But anyway, we can jump into the first games that we've got here. You've got Detroit OKC, I think, is the first one.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Giannis is doubtful?
I've got him as doubtful, yeah. And most places seem that. Wait, is it Detroit?
I don't even have an injury designation.
I'm sorry. I might be looking at the wrong. No, I'm at the right thing, right? Today is. Yeah. What am I missing here? No, I looked at it as they have him as doubtful on SaberSim.
Yeah, I don't have him projected. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but anyway, so for DraftKings, they don't have anything. Huh?
Yeah, it's. They'll never know. They'll never. That's the least. You should never be looking to DraftKings as telling you anything.
So basically, Milwaukee, it's going to be.
It's not going to be as easy. It's not going to be as simple as it's been in the past.
Yeah, but if Lillard's playing, we'll get to it, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. All right, let's start off. We might even get official word by that time. Let's start off. You had Detroit first, but was that right? Is that right?
No, I have Boston, Washington.
There's no Detroit game. What am I talking about? I had the wrong thing.
We're off to a great start.
This is a Monday. This is a Monday during football season. I'm absolutely I just have this happen sometimes.
As we said, so we use the promo code Sheets as an idiot, and that'll get you 4% off of a 30% increase. All right. Okay. Boston, Washington. I'll just start off. First of all, I would be remiss if I did not ask you your opinion on the actual game, because if this DFS thing doesn't work out for you, Bobby, he's been really on fire with this with the betting part. And listen, obviously I didn't mean to suggest that he wasn't doing on DFS. He's off to a great start in the NBA DFS as well. But the betting has been off the chart. So I have to ask you each game if you have an opinion on the actual game.
Yeah, I'm still deciding what I want to do with this one. My initial thought was I think that the over is a reasonable bet, but I don't know where I'm going to stand on it by the time we by the time I get through it. I like to do a little bit more digging before I make the final decision.
Okay.
Initially, my first thought is the over looks like a decent bet. I don't have anything from the Boston side that I think is like awesome. I think Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday are the most logical plays here. I think Tatum is always a good tournament play, especially in a good matchup. And then on the other side, it's when will Jordan Poole start doing what I expect him to do? And is Kyle Kuzma a good enough play at 7,400? A bunch of fringy plays here for me today. Probably Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown being my favorites.
This doesn't seem like the type of matchup for Poole to really get anywhere.
Yeah.
The guys I have, you mentioned Tatum. Is this
Porzingis revenge again?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bad play. I don't think I'm going to put an extra bunch into it, but like, I think he's a reasonable play. Like, I just don't think that it's not popping for me, but I think it's reasonable. 8,300. Why can't he score 50 fantasy points again?
Yeah, my top play here, I suppose, is Tatum. But I think I have better spend ups than him on the slate. But as you mentioned, he's going to be really, really low owned. So I have Tatum and Kristaps. I'm just kind of going by point per dollar here to see if anybody Drew Holiday, I suppose, like you mentioned him. I wonder if there's anything else kind of funny we can come up with. I thought for some reason I saw. Oh no, he's on the other team. Yeah, so I'm not really getting too much here. If you think that Washington can sort of keep it close, also, like who besides? I guess Jordan Poole would have to have a good game, sort of, right?
Or Kuzma, I mean, some form of that. But yeah, it seems like they would kind of have to in general. But they did just win the last game, and it wasn't like it was like astronomical numbers. Kuzma had 44 fantasy points. Man, these guys they're ridiculous. I'm telling you, I think you would hate coaching these guys probably more than anybody. But if you look at Poole, let me just point out that he scored 30 and 38 and a half. He scored 38 and a half fantasy points in the last game. He shot 8 for 23. He shot 7 for 18 on the first night. So if he ever shoots above 40%, he's going to crush this 8,100 price tag. It's just never seems to happen.
I used to joke that back when I was not a Mets fan really, but in the mid '80s when Darryl Strawberry was there, I used to joke that he was like the master of like the solo home run. Like he would never do anything with anybody on base. So I would joke that he could be the only one to have more home runs than RBIs for like a season. And that's kind of what I feel about Jordan Poole. I think he can get actually more real life points than actual fantasy points. But we'll see what happens with him. But I agree with you with respect to the fact that he is going to put up like massive numbers from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like against the best defensive team in basketball, or what could be the best defensive team in basketball, it would be the time to make that happen.
Yeah, I think they're probably right, but it's something I'll consider for large field stuff. I definitely think that I wouldn't eliminate him basically ever, to be honest with you. To be honest, in those large field tournaments. Do you have Chicago next?
I do. Oh, now we're on fire. We're picking up the pace.
Yeah, we're getting it going here. Why don't you start off with Chicago and then we could get some flow.
So we missed well, I didn't have him, but Zach LaVine reminded us that you'd always have a little piece of him. Whenever he suits up, he had like 50 real life points, I think, the other day. Tyrese Halliburton, I suppose, at 9,400 looks like my favorite play in Indiana. He looks good. He looks solid enough. Chicago, Vooch is, I guess, okay, but again, we're probably going to have other centers. I guess it's possible that Kobe White. Yeah, Kobe White is one of the few okay value plays. He's a guy that I wouldn't mind playing at low ownership. I see him right now at 18%. I don't know where that would be coming from, but when I watched Indiana play, I think it was their first game. I mean, that was quite the track meet against Washington.
Lightning quick.
Yeah, that was quite the track meet. So I guess this game can deliver, right? So you should probably try to play somebody like maybe Halliburton from Indiana. Go back to Zach LaVine. I don't know. Maybe Kobe White. You like anything here?
I like everything. I want all the Bulls.
Oh, here we go. All right, we got something. All right.
Yeah, I think that you're playing. It's going to be this way until they raise their prices, and you put them in one of the best matchups in basketball against Indiana, and it's going to be really, really hard to find a justification of why you wouldn't play one of DeRozan, Levine, or Vucevic, who, other than I know it didn't happen the first night, but 90% of the time, one of these guys will go completely nuts, and well, not nuts. They'll at least like 7x their price tag. The problem is Kobe White being there, you add sort of another layer to it. So it's another guy you can consider. I mean, Kobe White just played 27 minutes the other night and scored 3.5 fantasy points. So wide range of outcomes there. I think you're considering all those guys. My favorite would be probably DeRozan. DeRozan and Levine are close for me, and I think Vooch is totally a strong play as well. But on the other side, I also think Miles Turner is really in play at 6,700. And I'm going to be on the Halliburton is a 10K player train in general. I also think Matherin's worth it for tournaments. This game is a game that I'm going to probably try and stack a few different ways.
Well, if you're going to do that, I will throw a couple of others in. I mean, I like you said, Matherin. Want to see, the MB Habes guy got 22 minutes a couple of games ago. 25 minutes. He had a nice game opening day, the Andrew Neem part. And then if you want just
really deep.
Yeah, I know.
No, I know. I just want to point out they have like 10 guys with like reasonable projections.
I mean, Jalen Smith, he could. I don't know if he can get the minutes but when he's in there, he puts up fantasy.
Yeah, he's great per minute for sure.
But you want the ultimate troll play? You could play Obi Toppin. I mean, he was 100% owned at a flat 3K. And cause all kinds of aggravation and rage among the Twitter.
People got upset. He still scored 20 fantasy points. What were they so upset about?
Nobody was. I mean, I don't know. If you play him at 3K and he's 20 and he scores 20 points, you probably bust. No, I mean,
no. That's almost 7x. That's like
I hear you, but you saw what he was projecting.
That used to be the number. That used to be the number we'd be happy with.
Until people started scoring 400 fantasy points every night.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to happen over and over again with this team. You have a lot of guys, and guys they extended. These are not just like little casual guys. They just extended Aaron Neesmith. That's why they had to clear Duarte out of town, because they just have too many bodies. So one of these guys gets hot every night. So yeah, if you want to take a shot on Toppin, sure, but like
Bruce Brown, he could do it. Maybe we should just play Chicago and then play Halliburton.
Yeah, but I think mixing in some of these other guys, mixing in some of the Browns, some of the Neesmith and Toppin is not a bad idea. I just think you're going to find better stuff overall. And I do think Miles Turner is this is a solid matchup for him, and I like the price tag, so I'm good with Miles Turner as well. So maybe a Halliburton, Turner, Levine, DeRozan, Vooch, or Kobe White and DeRozan, or something like that. I think, or mix Levine in there. I just don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I know I'm going to have some stacks in this game. I know the Bulls play slower and lower scoring games, but it does feel like a really low total to see Indiana with personally. So this feels like another one might be over.
Speaking of the anger in the Twitter community, let's talk about Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Monsieur Day'Ron Sharpe from his last game.
But I don't think he really disappointed that. Like, I mean, like we had plenty of time to switch. I told our whole Discord, everybody should be playing Cam Smith in as many lineups as Cam Thomas in every lineup he possibly can. He scored 45 fantasy points. I don't think they have the right to really, complain too much. He didn't start as we suspected. True. Cam Thomas getting the start there. And Chiefs, you're gonna have to tell me about this projection on Cam Thomas. How is Cam Thomas not projected to score like 40 fantasy points? I think Cam Thomas is as close to a lock at first look as possible today.
Well, let me start by saying that currently of the top, I guess 10 or 12 point per dollar plays I have, like 5 of them are on Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read them down. Royce O'Neal, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Ben Simmons, and the aforementioned Cam Thomas. Of those, I agree with you. I think Cam Thomas, first of all, he projects the worst for literally no reason.
Right. He does have a range of outcomes. And
okay. So let this one be the good range.
Right.
So I like him the best. And guys like the Royce O'Neal, the problem with not the problem with The problem with saying I don't want to play Royce O'Neal is right now there's no value out there, so the 4,300 really helps. If it comes in, if later other stuff pops up, maybe Royce O'Neal wouldn't be the greatest. Dorian Finney-Smith, same thing. You know, he's not typically the type of guy that you like to play, but you know, at 4,100, depending on the nature of the rest of the value, he might become pretty important. And then Dinwiddie and Simmons, the only reason I wouldn't play them is I'm just completely biased in that they never do anything for me. They do everything for everybody else, but just not for me. But I'm going to start with Cam Thomas in this game, and then we do have to kind of think about the center position again. You know, we gotta really see who's starting. We gotta see what the hell's going on over here. Because if they do start Day'Ron Sharpe, I mean, I kind of have to play him, I would think. On the Charlotte side, what am I looking at? Mark Williams. Oh, we priced him up a little bit. LaMelo Ball, 9,700. He's not projecting all that well for me, but if you're going to play these Brooklyn guys, you probably want something on the other side. So I would say LaMelo and Mark Smith, I guess. Not Mark Smith. Mark Williams. But I don't know. How are you prioritizing this Brooklyn stuff, and what do you like here?
As of right now, if I had to build my lineups right now, I would have probably at least one of or both together LaMelo and Halliburton in all my lineups.
LaMelo and who?
LaMelo just come off a 4 of 17 performance where he still puts up 50 fantasy points. I just can't resist a guy who's got that ceiling in a what should be a good matchup. So far this year, he's shot 8 for 32 from the floor. He's down to he's shooting a very cool 25% from the floor, which is kind of amazing. His usage is still really good. He's had 2 near triple. He had a near triple double the other night. I'm gonna be high on this LaMelo, and I think you can run like 3-4 Brooklyns. I think Cam Thomas, Ben Simmons, depending on it really depends on who starts in the other spot. Probably Royce O'Neal, even if he doesn't start actually, or Dorian Finney-Smith. I think they're both fine, but like I'd like to get a third piece in there, and then you run it back with either LaMelo alone or LaMelo with Mark Williams. One of the plays that almost won because I almost won the FanDuel Monster on Friday, and got to give a little love to Gordon Hayward, who just fit for me just perfectly, and was like completely unowned, and ended up with, I think he had like 46 fantasy points on FanDuel because he had some steals, and really almost shot me right to the top, and I ended up finishing 5th with just by a few points out of 100K. It was really, really close.
Gordon Hayward always seems to fit into lineups at the end.
He always just, he's like okay, I guess we'll play him, and then he ends up having,
some small forward position, you know what I mean? Just throw him in there, you know.
I like this game too, though. These are 2 of my favorite games, and Cam Thomas, Ben Simmons, LaMelo, Mark Williams, one other piece from Brooklyn. I think you have a nice little game stack. All right, you want to start talking about the Portland at Toronto?
Yeah, this is going to be your favorite.
Only 7.5 point underdogs.
This could be your favorite, because people are already saying, "Oh, Scoot's terrible." You
mean in the last week that we've had NBA back?
You love when people do that, right?
I know it's going to make me crazy all year long. And by the way, who's been like the best player? They were talking, even the guys who like knock him all the time, like Bill Simmons. He was talking about how he was at the Clippers game last night. He goes, if you watch that team, they look great, and Westbrook is clearly the leader of that team, and he looks awesome. Like, it's just funny how people turn on they turn off and on these guys all the time. All right, anyway, we can talk about Portland if you want to.
Yeah, no, I want to shout you out for an observation of a guy who's smashed, I think, every night is Mr. Scotty Barnes. Before the first game, I think you were saying that everything's going to like run through him or something like that, and the guy just does nothing but smash and play massive minutes. Yeah. So for me, I'm looking at this game log, and I'm looking at $7,700 player that looks like he should be 9K. I guess I'm going to start with that. In the absence of like any good projection, which I'm not seeing on my whole sheet, got to try something that at least makes sense to me. So you tell me that what's his name, that Russ is doing wait, I thought Russ was on. No,
I was talking about Westbrook on the Clippers. I was just joking about it because
okay. Sorry. No, but for Scotty Barnes, I would start right with him, and I don't see much else from me. Brogdon's playing well on the other side, but yeah, I'll start with Scotty Barnes and work from there.
I have a very hard time seeing this game stay close, to be honest with you. And it's not even that I think Toronto's especially good or anything. It's just Portland is going to lose a lot of road games, especially when you're traveling internationally, which some of these kids may not even have done before. They're all like 20 years old. Look, if you want to take a shot, for me, it would be one of Henderson, Sharp, or Brogdon. Ayton is fine. Nobody I'm crazy about. Scotty Barnes would be my favorite play. I wouldn't mind Anunoby if I thought it was going to be more of a competitive game, but it doesn't feel like a great game to target for me. I think Scotty Barnes is probably my favorite, and Chris Boucher is probably the route I look for value. I'll just take a shot that maybe a little bit of a blowout run, and like the nut matchup. You know what I mean? These guys, he could get there in 15 minutes. So I will take some shots with Chris Boucher tonight. He's probably the only person I actually really prioritize from this game, if anyone, and that's only because we don't have value. All right. What do you got? Will you start the next one? I didn't see what.
Yeah, Minnesota, Atlanta. So, of the other part of the value here, 2 of the top 5 values on my board are from the Atlanta side. One is Jalen Johnson at power forward and forward at 5K. And the other one is Okongwu at 3,800 at center. Then my next favorite is on the other side, Naz Reid, who is both forward and center eligible as well. So I think you have 3 good pieces of value here, which can probably lead you to stacking this game in some way. So we'd have to put in. The problem is it takes up those nice positions that we like, but whatever. You put Jalen Johnson, let's say, put him at power forward, and then you put, I don't know which one, Okongwu maybe, and then we'll put Naz Reid at the other forward position and kind of work from there. Then if you want, then you can start paying up for other crap. Or you pay up for, you want to play Anthony Edwards, you want to play Trae Young or something like that? I don't know. But those 3 values look pretty good right now.
Yeah, I think the best play in this game is Jalen Johnson. I don't think it's particularly close. I think that should be like if you're playing cash games at this point, we're getting they're letting him free. This is no longer him as a role young 20-year-old kid. This guy, they've loved him for years. He's a part of the reason why they wanted to get rid of John Collins. He's now starting, and he has been terrific fantasy-wise so far this season. I expect him to keep playing a lot. So he's my initial look first play. I actually think that you could make a similar case for DeAndre Hunter in this kind of environment. And I think that DeJounte Murray is bordering on getting too cheap because of a little bit of a slow start this year. And I expect that to bounce back. I also expect that to happen with Trae at some point. But Trae's definitely not shooting the ball nearly as much as he used to. So in order of favorite plays in the game, I really don't think I can ever just say, oh, these guys from Minnesota are good plays. You have too many big bodies. It's a completely weirdly constructed team. It's really hard to know what you're going to get on a night in, night out basis. How many minutes will this be? The 28 minutes of Towns or 38? Will it be Naz Reid 16 minutes or will it be Naz Reid 30 minutes? It's really hard to project. So Naz Reid, as of right now, Jalen Johnson are my 2 favorite plays in this game, and I do think that the Okongwu is a strong play as well. But Jalen Johnson and again, if you want to try and stack it, it's a huge total, good game environment. You'd have to just sort of close your eyes and play Anthony Edwards and Trae Young, and maybe that's not a bad idea of something to do to get a little bit off the board tonight. But not a priority game for me, which is weird because it's a very, very good pace. It's going to be, is it the highest total? It's one of the highest totals on the slate if it's not the highest. So it's definitely a game that maybe you want to get pieces of. Just a lot of depth on both teams. All right, now we have Dallas, Memphis.
Yeah, I guess if you can get up to Luka, he's a good play. But 200 less for Jokic, and Lillard, if there's no what's his name, Giannis is only 10K. In the absence of that too much value, it's going to be hard to get to him, I think, which means he's going to be low owned, et cetera, et cetera. As far as Memphis goes, they keep on moving Jaren Jackson up in price. Desmond Bane is 8,600. I think those are my 2 favorite options from there. But aside from those guys, not really seeing all too much. So Luke, if you can get to him, which I don't think you're going to be able. Well, I shouldn't say that. But I think if you can get to him, you can get to Jokic, and I'd probably rather get to Jokic.
Yeah, let's just. We have to wait and see. Obviously, with Giannis here.
Yeah, of course.
The main thing, the problem is that we may have to speculate like before lock if there is real questionable. Do you really think? Okay, you really think they're gonna not play him against the team that knocked him out of the playoffs? Like, I don't know. I call a little bit like I'm not seeing it. I don't buy necessarily that he's sitting
at home, especially. I mean, like,
what's that?
You mean Giannis?
Yeah.
I mean, at home too. I mean,
it's at home. It's against the team that eliminated you from the playoffs. It's your nightmare team that you always.
You got to have no shame if you sit that game. I think.
What's that?
Yeah, you have no shame if you sit that game, but you better be really hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, you better be hurt if you're missing that one. I haven't checked it. I don't know. None of these games are going to be on national TV because it's Monday. But that's another thing that they changed the rules for how players what they're allowed to do for that. Anyway, I'm sort of deviating. I don't really think that if Giannis doesn't play, I'll revisit my thoughts later. I probably is going to be Bobby Portis. I actually do think Damian Lillard will be really popular, and I will probably fade that. I have, going back years, as you know, I do not like playing point guards against Miami. I will only do it when I have to, and a little bit less intimidating these days, but still not my thing. Kevin Love is still in play, by the way, at 4,400. Just because he has a bad game or two, like we're playing him for value. We're not playing because he's a sure thing, but he can 7x this price. Actually, you know what? He's only been really good for this price. So why isn't Kevin Love looking like really good value? Assuming, of course, that he does play. So I have Kevin Love as my favorite play in this game as of right now. It is weird, right? Like Kevin Love was getting played by everybody. She's at 4,100 on a 13 gamer, and here he is just at 4,400 where we don't have value. And people aren't going to play him. It just, I don't know.
I think if it stayed like this, they would probably be more inclined to play. I don't know who. Yeah, you're right. I mean, what else is there this week?
26 and 31 is 2 games so far.
Yeah. All right. So Utah, Denver. Yeah, as I mentioned, if you can get to Jokic, that's nice. He's the best fantasy. I have projected up like a point more than Luka, or 2 points more than Luka. So I guess it's not that much more. Just whenever I fade him, it's like a disaster. it's like he just gets 80. You know, he just gets 80. I mean, what can I do? It's kind of hard to get to him. Same concept as before. Utah. I mean, nothing. I don't really have too much that stands out in this game. Let me just look down here. No, pretty much nothing. No value pieces. Just hoping for value to open up so you can play Jokic, I suppose.
Yeah, Utah and their 75-man rotation is very tough to play fantasy wise. I will say I do think John Collins is a reasonable value play. Value-ish, 5,600, not like super value, but I think it's a reasonable price. Look, if I could get to Jokic, I probably will get some of it. I like Kessler in general as a defensive player, but like he physically is not going to be able to match up with him. The same thing every night. And, every night Jokic is going to, he's going to be somewhere between 50 and 85. Sometimes he'll go a little bit higher. Every now and then he'll have one game that's less than that. And it's really hard not to want to play him, but it is a back-to-back, right, for Denver. That has me I just think we got to be a little bit careful about some of the back-to-backs, because I do think that coming off the championship and everything, a long season, maybe they rest guys, and it wasn't really what they did last year, but they hadn't won a title yet. So I'm just curious to see how they treat these situations going forward. I don't think we have a clear. We got some sort of mixed answers. If you want to take a wild card from this game, though, I would say play Peyton Watson a little bit. This kid is really athletic, and in 2 out of their 3 games, he put up 21 in one game and 28 in the other game. He does a lot while he's out there. He's active. He's like the one screaming and going crazy. And his minutes have gone 11, 18, 22. It's all trending in the right direction. Now, partly that's because there was a blowout in the last one. But even in the close game, he played 18 minutes. It's a long shot play, but it's just more we don't have value. So consider a guy like Peyton Watson as maybe a possible value.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. I mean, again, if a bunch of value opens up, I'm not going to play him, but is definitely going to be in consideration until we do. It's weird to have a big slate where I don't really like all that. Like, there's nothing that I feel like, oh, I need to have that. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right. What do you got? Detroit OKC.
Yeah. So then we have an hour and a half break before Orlando and the Lakers.
We've been out of order at some point, right? Because we did Denver, Utah.
Oh, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to do Miami, Milwaukee.
We did Miami, Milwaukee. We didn't do Detroit, OKC, and we didn't do Dallas, Memphis.
Okay, yeah. So we did Dallas, Memphis. We talked about Luka.
I didn't talk about Luka, or I didn't talk about Memphis or anything.
I talked about all that game. So why don't you go back to Dallas, Memphis, and talk about that?
Who did you say from that game?
I talked about Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bain were my two favorite plays from Memphis. I didn't like much more, but it's tough to get to Luka.
Oh, I must have.
It'll be nice to get there.
Wow, I really struggled.
This is tremendous content. I mean, this is really good. Make sure you show up at 6 o'clock where our brains are going to be back in our.
Yeah. This is like it's brain fried day. I really don't even remember you saying anything.
Yeah, that's the kind of impact I make on these.
Luka, yeah, it's going to be hard to get there. Obviously, a strong play whatever. Lock it into points. You know, it's going to be. If they're any good this year, this will be, I think, his best chance to win the MVP that he's had so far, I should say. A lot of meh plays on Dallas for me. Memphis has, we still got situations to look out for. Zaire Williams looks pretty good to me. He's playing more and more. But if you're not going to play him, David Roddy is the guy you consider. So I'd say one of Williams or Roddy if you want to look for that cheap value. I have Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson, and Desmond Bain all playable and no musts. I think that there's a thing, though, that I wanted to point out. Dallas had a reputation, and it's funny because even like podcasts with guys who are really good were missing on this stuff. And they're like, well, Dallas doesn't played the third slowest place last year. All this stuff. I'm like, well, they only had Kyrie for 7 games or 8 games or whatever. Wait till you see how bad this team plays and bad their defense is. And they haven't disappointed. They don't play defense. They don't really have the guys to play defense, and they're gonna end up giving up a lot of points. They're 2 games so far. Both were 125, 120, and 126, 119. I think you can expect to see more of the same of that. And this Memphis team, this game feels like the easiest over bet ever. That's my first thought. But I do want to get some exposure. I think that, I guess ranking in order would probably be Zaire Williams, David Roddy, just because we need value at the moment. Actual plays probably would go Smart, Jackson, Bain, but I have no problem if anybody wanted to flip that. Love Desmond Bain. I'm not going to be scared off by a bad game here or there. I think he's got 50 plus, plenty of times. Just at this price, it's getting a little less exciting, but you can even find a way to stack up this game because, as I said, I think Dallas is getting treated like they're this slow down team. And Vegas hasn't caught up with this either. Since Kyrie's been there, they're like they give up like 125 a game. Like I don't understand it. So I think there might be some better sneaky stuff here than I thought at first because I totally skipped over the game at first.
All right, we'll get back on track. We have 2 games we skipped over, so we're gonna go right back to them right now. So Detroit, Oklahoma City. All right, we're gonna do that one, and I'll start. And I have a question for you. One of my rhetorical questions. So the first guy I like from this game is on the Detroit side. I do think Isaiah Stewart is pretty cheap at 5,200 for the minutes that he's playing. And also, I like the once and future Yahoo King, Cade Cunningham at 8,800. I think they're pretty decent. Duran also. Man,
this guy has been awesome, huh?
He has. And I have 2 other guys who mentioned from the Detroit side because they look okay. First of all, like our old friend Alec Burks. He's always down for to do something when you least expect it. He could be someone you go to. And then I guess this is my rhetorical question: who is Osar Thompson?
Osar Thompson, the Thompson twins. Their twin is one of a pair of twin brothers. He was the number 5 overall pick in the draft. His brother was the number 7 overall pick in the draft.
Okay.
Incredible athlete, incredibly athletic, incredible athlete. Pretty much a sure thing to make it in the NBA. Just trying to not really knowing what his role is because he can't really shoot. And he's a terrific passer, but isn't really great at creating. So it's a terrific rebounder as well. So That's my little short.
30 minutes, pretty much all 3 of his games.
Yeah, they're going with it.
30 fantasy points or so, with rookie upside, I guess.
Yep.
So that's the last of the Detroit side of this. In Oklahoma City, I mean, yeah, sure. Shea is expensive, but if I'm going to stack guys, maybe. And then you got to tell me about how this other guy's doing. How the Chet oh my God, the Chet Holmgren with a 50 burger.
That's how I almost won the tournament. I had Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
He had 60 on FanDuel. I believe it was like 60 something.
Only 13 rebounds and 7 blocks. That's all.
7 blocks. Chet Holmgren's awesome. There's pretty much a guarantee sure thing. He's going to have up and down numbers for DFS all season long, probably for a couple seasons, to be honest. But just a massive ceiling as you know you're pointing out here. Yeah, so like I'm probably okay fading Killian Hayes. I like the idea of playing one of Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duren, and if no one's going to play Duren, I'll probably keep taking shots. Like, I mean, he's 7,100. All he's done is put up, 48 or more, basically. I don't really think that's going to be his averaging out this early in his career. But like, I've been huge on this guy's future. I mean, a lot of people talk about him as like maybe being a potentially like more athletic version of Bam in the future, and like he's still very, very young. And I really like Asar. So a lot of plays that look fine. Burks, these all look fine to me. Actual priority, probably one of Isaiah Stewart, Thompson, Duren. I probably stick with that as my main piece from this game. Don't really love anything on the OKC side, just from a pricing standpoint. If I had to pick anything, it would probably be Jalen Williams or Chet. And I just would have to live with the results of everything else. I don't love this game for DFS.
What about Golden State against New Orleans? For those that weren't there yesterday, so Chris Paul, first time I think ever in his career, came off the bench. Still played 26, 28 minutes or whatever it is. He is priced still as kind of a starter, so I have to kind of look and see what to do with that. But the guy that I'm coming up with on Golden State in this game, actually, I have 2 guys. Well, Jonas Valanciunas at 5,700 at center. It's not a surprise that I'm getting to a center. I mean, Herb Jones, maybe. I mean, that's how bad the value is, I guess. And then Brandon Ingram, kind of maybe. And I'm not really getting much of anything on the Golden State side right now. What do you think of this game?
I'm struggling with this one because I feel like we're supposed to be doing something, and I just can't quite figure out what it like. The Jonas Valanciunas, like if he's like, I'm just trying to look at his game log and see if this is not just foul related. I don't think it is. I mean, he played 29 and 21 minutes in the first 2 games. That's usually good enough for him to get there. I don't think that he should be owned maybe as like one of the top owned guys tonight. I think that there's a lot of volatility with his situation, but I also think in this matchup, if it trends his direction and they don't go small, then he's going to have 45 fantasy points. So I'm kind of stuck on what to do with Joval. I think that both Ingram and McCollum are fine. I think Ingram would be my preferred of the 2. Herb Jones is fine as of right now. Again, I think we're going to probably end up with better value, or we don't need to do that. And I'm always fine with a long shot on Dyson Daniels. I sort of did it the reverse way and went with the home team first this time. In terms of Golden State, I'm struggling a little bit with it too, because I just can't find anything that makes any sense. And maybe the answer is just not to do anything here.
When is Zion putting up 60?
It's actually a good question. Maybe tonight. Maybe I should have looked a little bit harder into the Zion. Why wouldn't I a little bit? So they're going to be a little bit careful, right? I don't think he's going to be playing above 32 minutes all that often. But that's plenty.
Maybe wait for somebody to be out, maybe, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, though. Like, I can see that, Sheets. Maybe you're – the only thing that's hard is, like, he dominated, like, in both games, really. But the last game, like, he was 12 of 17 from the floor. He put up, 24 real points in 28 minutes. That's a great rate. And he still only had 37 fantasy points. So,
yeah, they need to show that they're going to play him. I mean, like, 35 minutes.
Well, they need to show that he can stay healthy. They said they'd have to keep it under 32 minutes.
Right.
That's what the doctors say anyway. But maybe, I think that's like an excellent large field flyer to take. I just don't know if I don't know if I'm going to get there tonight, but I think it's an interesting flyer for sure.
You like anything on Golden State?
What's that?
You like anything on Golden State?
No, I can't find anything that makes sense. Everybody feels very appropriately priced. You could always do the Steph Curry thing, but I don't see anything that stands out as being an actually like, oh, this is something we should be doing. Do you?
Nope. We did Miami, Milwaukee. We did Utah, Denver, and in a very long, circuitous route, we made it to Orlando, LA. I actually like both of the guys from LA tonight, both Davis and LeBron, to save a little money off of a decent amount of money off of the other guys. I don't think that unless a lot of value opens up, that any of these guys are going to be high owned, like at all. I guess LeBron's got to get something. I mean, because he's only 9,100. I mean, I don't remember the last time he was 9,100. So I think I have to like him the best. And then on the Orlando side, you want to we can go to your Franz Wagner, I guess. It was weird what they were doing with the bigs actually. Like they gave like Wagner some minutes when Wendell Carter was struggling. Banchero played a full freaking run. He had 35. He played 35 minutes. That's not so bad. I don't know. So I would say Wagner, and probably LeBron, I guess, from the LA side. It's a late night hammer game. I'm a kind of sucker for those. Maybe I try something here.
All right, you're gonna have to riddle me this one. Here's my exact point about that the Portland bet that we made the other day.
Yes.
I had Orlando and you had Portland.
Yes.
Why was Portland? So why was Orlando? They were -2.5 in that game. They're only +2 now. They're +2.5 against the Lakers. Only +2.5, which means Vegas is telling you they think Orlando's a better team than the Lakers.
Correct.
That's the right thing. And that I just think that people need to like. I want to tell my friends this. This is what I've been saying. This Laker team has got a million flaws. I'm not saying that Orlando's actually better. I'm just saying this is how Vegas is treating it. So it's just interesting to note. And also this game just screams of the under, but like I'll get into that for my bets later on. Yeah, the pricing on LeBron and AD, but really I think it's really more AD for me. It's just the center position is a little bit tougher. I mean, but it's a back-to-back sheets. Like AD scored, what did he score last night? He had 65 fantasy points. He put 61 the game before that. I think he's the best spend up on the slate outside of the two guards I met. I think LaMelo and Halliburton would be my favorite spend ups on the whole slate. I do worry about the back-to-back, but this Laker team is going to try to win games.
One of these guys is going to sit, aren't they?
That's what seems like it's worth speculating on because of the back-to-back.
And not only that, but that game is total island game, and nobody will have it. You know what I mean?
Right. But here's the problem though too with why they would do that. They've been talking the offseason, all the hype around. Oh my God, the Lakers are so much deeper and all this stuff. I've watched them play. I think they should be 0-3. They're 1-2. They've looked, in my opinion, for 80% of most of the games pretty awful. And LeBron had one great fourth quarter, which rescued them against Phoenix. And Phoenix, who's missing two of the best, 30 players in the league, 35 players in the league. I guess Beal maybe a little further back. But I just think it's interesting. And these guys all put up monster numbers last night in Sacramento on a tough road game.
Yeah.
I just think it's, and maybe that. So is the line telling us Orlando's better, or is the line?
That's why this line is tight, because this Lakers on the back-to-back.
I think it's a combination of that. Yeah. And Orlando's had 3 days off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, I was talking about this before with you. I mean, LeBron has been saying at the end of the season this is going to be like Anthony Davis's show, and it's two straight 30-point real life point games.
It has to be, because he's not LeBron is not the same guy. I mean, if you watch them play, he can get a couple drives to the basket. He creates nothing. He stands out and shoots 35 footers,
right.
And he's not a great shooter. Like and then he gets the 1 5-minute head of steam. And he runs over people in a good way, which I love. But he's not the same guy, period. But the pricing is interesting, and it's questioning. So I'm going to assume that if you had to assume one would sit, you'd assume it would be LeBron. And I would assume that means we should be playing even more AD than I was suspecting.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I also think Austin Reeves. So Austin Reeves maybe is coming down back down to reality this season. He's been horrendous, absolutely beyond horrendous, and doesn't look like he's even a starting player in the NBA after everybody wanted to make him an all-star after a good few months. I still think he's got it in him. He's going to be their third best player because they really don't have another option. There's none of these other guys are good enough. They have a bunch of guys who could be your fourth best player, not a bunch of guys who could be your third. So Austin Reeves is the one I would take chances on tonight. You do have D'Angelo Russell on the back-to-back, which may be a little bit concerning for a jump shooter. But he played 40 minutes last night. Does that mean we could? Is it too much of a reach to get the Gabe Vincent thing? Probably.
I don't know about that. I think that's a good idea.
But are they going to sit? They're not going to sit Russell. And Gabe Vincent's been playing 30 minutes a game anyway. It's just.
I think Gabe Vincent's a good play today. I think.
All right, interesting. I mean, it's a.
I didn't think about that until you just brought him up. I mean.
Yeah, so
they could sit him. They could.
They absolutely could. It's not out of the question. Absolutely.
I would reserve some spots for this game.
Yeah, I think AD would be my main one, and I think Austin Reeves feels fringy, but you can. I don't think it's that fringy. It's certainly not fringy if LeBron's out.
I will say this: Anthony Davis is a good play, probably regardless.
Yeah.
So I think that's at a position which is people don't want to commit to. So I think he's going to be really low owned.
Yeah. Well, so to sum up for me as of right now, and it's going to take some speculating tonight because, as you mentioned, island game for the Lakers. There's nothing that stands out on the Orlando side. Otherwise, it would be a lot easier to do this.
Okay.
But Jalen Suggs is probably the guy you could consider for value. I think you consider Markelle Fultz for value too. They're both reasonable enough, but I would prefer Suggs slightly. And I love Wagner. I just don't know when this starts happening.
Orlando's deep. They got some players.
They're a good team. They're going to be a playoff team this year, 100%. So the priorities of the day: AD, LaMelo, Halliburton, Cam Thomas. As of right now, I will work out the value part later. The teams that you're looking out for the most today because the back-to-backs and the suspicion. The Lakers because we don't know. There's no word yet, but LeBron may sit a back-to-back. We don't know. Milwaukee with Giannis. We'll see what happens. But I think that I still want to go back to that Bulls-Indy game in terms of a game that's stackable. It would be that one, or the Brooklyn-Charlotte one feels stackable. And those are pretty much going to be where I get most of my plays.
Between the three main scorers from Chicago, DeRozan, Levine, and Vooch, are there any two that you wouldn't play together?
No.
Okay.
Let's see. And TJ Gamey's asking a question. Should I take Simmons? I don't know who that is. And Thomas as a three. I don't know who that person is. Do I think Mark Williams bounces back as a sneaky play? I don't think Mark Williams is going to be like especially sneaky, but yes, I think he bounces back. And I think he's also, I think you guys just expect this from the young guys. There's going to be nights where they put up 40 and nights where they put up 10. These guys are 21 years old. We can't expect consistent production from some of these young bigs, especially. But I don't know what the Simmons question was anyway. All right, Sheets. Well, we can get out of here if you want to. We kind of stumbled through this one, guys. We'll do better next time.
Sounds good. We'll get it. So I would say, to summarize, I would go back. I would not be too fancy. I mean, I would trust the game log on Cam Thomas for a little while, and just roll with that. And then that's probably a good place to start. Is to play someone like Cam Thomas. And then I think Anthony Davis, I think we talked through that one. That was pretty sharp. We have to see what's going on in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I think those are two kind of neat little cores to start your day off.
Yeah, I agree. That's certainly what I'll be doing. And I will have up my early builds, all of my, one thing I show on our site for those of you guys who aren't members, I show all of my exposures to every player, and it does change, but I also update it in our premium Discord chat. We have the regular Discord chat, which I hope you guys are already a member of, but I did want to point that out because I've had some really good runs yesterday, and if you got to the 35% of the of what's his name, DeAndre Hopkins yesterday, you probably did better than I did. I don't know how I didn't make money and play DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't lose much, but it's still, how do I have that much DeAndre Hopkins and not make money when he's less than 1% on? Bets, James, we don't do that in the morning. You got to give time in basketball. Occasionally I'll post them in the morning I did it for the first week very early because they were the first games of the season. When we have this many questionables and guys who might be questionable on back-to-backs, who usually sit back-to-backs, it's just going to have to be this afternoon for me in general with my bets.
Ooh, this is actually sort of interesting.
Bam just come through. Just came through.
So 15 minutes ago,
Okay.
Bam came through, downgrade to questionable. So now we have a Kongu at 56% ownership.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. So this is
not a Kongu. I meant what's his name? Oh, who would be?
It could be Thomas Bryant. That would be the logical thing, but it's not like. They're going to need some size because it's Lopez, Portis. Even if Giannis is out, at least one of those guys will be playing. I think Jaime Jaquez by the end of the day may end up playing more tonight. I don't know. Miami doesn't really care as much for their race. It's weird because it's not a back-to-back for them, but it is the 3rd and 4 nights, and so it's kind of weird to see the standing.
Orlando Robinson season? No, probably not.
They played the first back-to-back for what it's worth. These guys.
We could have a. We could have a Jokic-Jovic pairing.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Jovic had 30 fantasy points in his last game, by the way.
I know. And no Jimmy Butler for what it's worth in that game, but Bam would be out of this one, which would be even a bigger boost, you would think. Miles Turner's fine. We went through all this stuff, TJ. It's all in the video. But Miles Turner is totally fine. I'm not like over prioritizing him, but he's definitely a guy I'm looking at playing today, possibly.
As we mentioned, there was going to be news that came out while
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of it. So I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to start doing some site back-end stuff, and then I'm going to jump back into this and start looking at what I want to actually do.
Got to start putting, getting our Jameson Williams jerseys on for.
I'll start with football. That's right.
For tonight.
Yeah. This is the Jameson Williams and the captain make us all the money.
Dude, and we have all kinds of narratives in that game. We have the Michael Myers Halloween narrative.
Michael Myers on the birthday before his birthday? Yeah, why not?
What's that? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, day before Michael Myers' birthday, yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody. Please click a like before you get out of here, and we'll see you in the Discord.